Wagwan pussies. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to get your start at every area of the skate park. We're going to go over a few tips for each obstacle, the bowl, the ledge, the rail, the stairs, the pool, and we're just going to give you tips and tricks to get yourself learning on the right track. So with all that being said, we'll start with the place where everybody gets their beginning in skateboarding, and that is the flat ground. We're going to go through these fairly quickly, and if you need to know anything specific, you can check the chapters down below. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so starting off with the flat ground, it's super simple. We're going to start with some very basic tricks, and by the way, I'm going to give you a few tricks for each obstacle as well to get yourself started. With the flat ground, if you're just preparing to have a little go, super simple, just sweep the ground. You don't even need to sweep in most cases, but just in case it's super like dusty and dirty like this, you give it a little bit of a sweep, but otherwise, if you've got a nice flat ground area, you're perfect and ready to go. Now, a lot of people start skateboarding and they're just like, right, I want to get into kick flips, I want to do tray flips, I want to do all the cool tricks straight away, but that's not how it works here. You're going to have to start basics, and you're going to have to really get down to it too. So all you're going to do first of all, and I'm going to go over these super quickly just to not bog down any of my more intermediate skateboarders in this video, but if you're just starting, literally just push around, get used to riding the board for a day, and you want to work your way up on the tricks slowly. So you're going to start with like an ollie, then we're going to bring it to like a boneless, then maybe a no comply of some sort, and just work our way up with tricks like that. I'm going to give you 5 super easy tricks you can do now to get started, and don't worry, kickflip is not in there, so you can get these very, very quickly. So the first one is ultra simple. That's just the body varial. Line your feet up with your shoulders and then just jump 180 and continue riding. You can do this facing normal or riding backwards, whichever way feels most comfortable to you. Just try not to do it too close to the ramp in case of any dangers. So the next one is a boneless. Super simple, super easy trick. You just take the front foot off, grab the board with the right hand, touch the tail on the ground like that, and then extend the leg out so it's straight in the air, and then just jump onto it just like that. You can literally break it down in those exact steps I just did, super incrementally. So foot off, tail on the ground, hand on the board, straighten the leg, jump. Watch this part of the video over and over until you get that. Next one we're gonna go over is the revert. This is easiest and fakey. Just roll backwards, point your body the way you wanna go to get back to facing normal, and then just lift this leg up and bring it round. This is going to take a little while, a little bit of practice for sure. Just ride super slow at first, turn the body, and let the bottom half follow. Best thing to do is just get on the board and see how it feels. Now number 4, probably even easier than the rest of them. Literally all you want to do, hold your board out like that, have your thumb on the outside, 4 fingers on the underside, and just jump, try and land on it with both feet. The best way you can do this is to land with your feet over the bolts. So where the trucks are, land with your feet like that. It's going to give you the best stability, and when you land, crouch down a bit just to keep your center of gravity closer to the ground. It's going to help massively, and it'll just look like this. You can start off with super low, do it slowly, and slowly when you get brave enough, bring it like this and throw it underneath you. Okay, the final flatland trick that I want you to practice is manuals. Now the best way to do this is to find yourself a crack to balance in. Babe, come over here. Find yourself a crack to balance in, like we've got right here. Just stick your wheel in there so you're nice and secure, and then put front foot 2/3 of the way up, back foot toes on the tail. This is how you want to ride for all your tricks, by the way. Toes on the tail. Don't want to ride like this with your foot flat. It's just not how we do it here in skateboarding. Just put your foot like that, lift this knee up, and then just practice like this. You'll get like half a second at first, and slowly after a while, you'll be able to hold it for a little while. And then once you've got that, find 2 lines at the skate park. Literally, see this line right here? This line on the ground? See this line on the ground? The idea is to manual from one line to the other. Just like this. And that's your mission accomplished for flat ground. Now we're going to move to the mini ramp. Okay, so now we're in the mini ramp. Generally you want to start with like a quite small one. This one's about 3 foot. Some parks have ones that are like 5, 6 feet. But even if that's the case, just go into the bottom of it. You don't have to worry about riding all the way to the top on both sides. Just start in the floor of the ramp. Generally try and do this as this is quiet. You don't want to do it when there's a session of 10 people on each side. Just wait for it to quiet down a little bit. Okay, so the first thing we need to learn is how to pump. What this is basically using your knees and your legs to get yourself up and down the ramp without having to really push. That's how we maintain speed. So literally, legs bend on the way up, straighten, bend on the way down. Bend on the way up, straighten, bend on the way down. So you'll notice when you're at the top of the ramp, bend, straight, and then bend on the way down again. Doing this helps you generate the speed so that you can do it without pushing at all. This is going to take a while to practice, and it takes and it takes some people a long time, but just start as slow as you can and see how quickly you can gain speed. It's going to take you a while to build up the muscles, so don't get bogged down if you can't do this straight away. And it's also something you learn over time. You don't just do it in your first session and you can do it. You slowly add bits to it as you get better at skating. And then eventually I want to see if you can get one push and then get all the way up to the top. You don't have to touch the coping, just get as high as you can. So pump on the way back, and then pump, and then we're almost at the top just like that. Now the next thing we're going to want to learn is dropping in. Now this one is so easy, but it seems so hard when you first start. So basically what it is you put the tail on the coping like that, wheels just into the ramp, and then you just push down and go forward. And I can see why it's scary for most people. So what you want to do is literally just push your front foot forward and just bend your knees and go into the ramp. Don't lean backwards, because then you might fall off the back. If we're going to fall at all, it's better to fall forward so we can see where we're going and put our hands down, then fall back, land on our ass and bang our head. So just foot on the front, bend your knees, push down. It's going to seem scary at first, so if you are finding it difficult to push yourself to do it, find something super mellow like this. Like this is barely even a ramp. Just put your foot on it like that, just like you would dropping in, and then just go. Exact same thing, just a bit scary on top. And if you need more ramps in the middle, find one without a coping that's slightly bigger, like this one just here. Do the exact same thing, tail on the top, wheels in the ramp. Put your front foot just over the front bolts, and then go. Bend your knees and lean forward. The thing about the mini ramp as well is it's mostly like fear-based stuff. It's not necessarily difficult tricks to do. It's just in your head, and it can be a bit of a mental battle. I'm going to give you 5 ultra easy tricks now that you can get started with, but I would definitely recommend getting yourself doing the flat ground stuff first and just cruising around the park a lot before you go crazy and try this stuff. But just know some skaters find this stuff super easy and other ones find it super scary. I was definitely in the super scary field when I was younger. But here are the 5 basic tricks. So rock fakie, first of all, just put your front wheels over the coping. Back wheels slightly come up. That's why we call it a rock, because you're like seesaw on the coping, like that. Just like that. Okay, the next one is just rolling in. Basically, you would just do what you do on a normal ramp, just roll in, but obviously you've got the coping there, so you've got to kind of like roll over it, but trust me, the wheels might feel like they're gonna hang up on the coping, but they never do. So just ride in like this, keep your knees bent, your body low, and lean into it. That's rolling in, that's trick number 2. Okay, next we're gonna go for an axle stall. Now this one, what you do is you turn your shoulders and the body. Obviously you're gonna want a few flat ground tricks before you go for something like this, just to get used to the board and your board feel. You're gonna turn your shoulders and turn the board, sit on the coping like this, and then you're gonna go straight back in. Again, scarier than it looks, and don't beat yourself up if you can't do it straight away. Just turn in, and then turn back in again. There are in-depth tutorials for these tricks all over the internet. I'm just giving you 5 tricks to get started. Okay, 2 more. We're gonna do the switch rock this time. I know switch might seem a bit scary at first, but switch is honestly a lot easier than you might think. Same thing as normal rock fakie, but we're doing it backwards this time. Rock fakie, switch rock fakie. Exact same technique, just do it with the back of the board instead. All right, next we're going for the rock and roll. Very similar technique again. You're gonna put the front wheels over, but this time we're gonna turn out. So for this one, it's probably actually the easiest one for most people because you're not coming out backwards, which is why most people find it scary. So we're gonna pump again, get ourselves to the top, put the wheels over, and turn out again. So if you want a kick turn maybe, practice this first. Just turning around on the ramp. And then when you're brave enough, put the front wheels over, bring it out again. All right, so now we're tackling the pyramid box. This thing can be skated as a bank, you can manual over the top, you can do stuff out of the bank, or you can hit the hip. I'm not gonna give you 5 tricks for every single variation of those, just a couple that I like and that are easy for beginners. So what we're gonna do first is just practice the bank. Now, this thing is great for doing tricks to fakie on, which if you didn't know, you come up, do an ollie, and then go back down. I'll quickly show you. So this is an ollie to fakie. Honestly, once you've got a trick on flat ground, it's really fun to bring it to the ramp and try and get it a bit more solidified by doing certain stuff like this. You can also do it out of the ramp if you want to. You can do it over the hip from one bank into another one. We call this a hip, by the way. If you didn't already know, if it's like bank to bank like that, then it's a mini hip generally. If it's like quarter pipe to quarter pipe, then it's a bigger hip. But yeah, there's not really much to say on these, apart from like once you've gotten used to tricks, you can bring them to the bank. If you want to go down these ramps as a beginner, then just literally bend your knees and ride into it just like this. Definitely easier than the mini ramp, and you can even treat it like a mini ramp if you want to practice your rock fakies. Try coming up, turn them around, going back down. And if you're feeling adventurous, go for a fakie 360. Way easier than you might think, trust. Just because the momentum of the ramp pulls you around. It's actually really easy. I wouldn't say really easy if it's your first day on the skateboard though. Next, if you've got one like this, it's like ramp, flat top, ramp. It's great to practice manuals across. Manuals, nose manuals, 180s and manuals, any kind of variation. Bring it back to what we did earlier from the crack to crack manual. Turn around, and then manual from line to line, rock and roll, and then nose manual. Creativity is the only cap here, so whatever you feel like you can do, give it a try. Now we're going to touch on these mini hips here. These could be great for so many different tricks once you get a bit more experience in doing tricks in skateboarding. Some tricks are even easier over hips like this than they are doing them on flat ground, just because the way you don't really have to turn a full 180 because it's bank to bank like this. But an easy trick that I like to suggest for beginners is turn around up here and then tail stool like that and then drop in. Do it either way. Come up, weight on the tail, drop in. And then if you're feeling adventurous, come up fakie, 180, drop in. You don't have to pop at all. You can even, like axle stool on it, come back down. Come up fakie again, 5-0 stool, come back down. There are so many different ways you can tackle this. You can go up, tail stool, revert. And if you're feeling even more adventurous, boneless. All kinds of different stuff you can take on this. Just ride over it. Like I say, creativity is the only thing that's capping you off here. Just have a go, see how you feel. And the final thing that people use these kind of ramps for, and one of my personal favorites, is just jumping out and doing tricks out of the bank. Once you've got shove-its, ollies, try and bring them to ramps like this, because you'll be surprised how much easier they can be once you've figured them out of ramps. Go for an ollie first. We'll go for a fakie 180. Go for a pop shove it. And a fakie big spin. Again, whatever tricks you've got, no comply 180, pivot and in. You can bring any kind of trick to it. Just the more time you spend messing about and getting to know the ramps, the better you're going to be at using them. That's why most people are always better at their local skate park, just because they get used to the ramps. You're going to have to do the same. Just mess around, do all kinds of stuff, pivots, 180s, bonelesses, freestyle tricks, and eventually these ramps will become like a second home for you. Okay, now we're going to touch on the ledge, but we're going to do the one up there on the flat ground, because doing one on a downhill or across like a box like that is a bit more advanced. You definitely want to get used to skating one like this first. Right, so next we're going to be tackling the ledge, like I just said. Now this one you're obviously going to want to know how to ollie, because if you can't ollie, how are you going to get onto it? Although there is one trick you can do without the ollie. Literally just put the board on the thing. This is still a bit sketchy if you haven't got enough board feel to learn an ollie yet, but you can run and jump on and then just ride off the edge. But I wouldn't really recommend trying that if you already can't ollie, because you might be a bit too beginner for it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get used to just ollieing on. Now for this, you're going to want to put your board next to it and then just ollie forward. And it's simpler than it seems. So just put your feet onto it, maybe like half a foot to a foot away from the ledge, and then just ollie and try and shift your weight onto the ledge. Just like that. Now this one's annoying because it's on a slight downhill, so I'm constantly rolling that way. So when you're ollieing, you want to try and lock in like this, so that your wheels are pushing against the side like that. That's when you're locked in. If you're landing like this, it's going to be a bit sketchier, a bit easier to fall off, but trust, if you get your wheels in like that, you're all good. So let's see what we would look like if we were to ollie in and then get out of it straight away. So remember, keep your shoulders in line with your feet, have your arms in front of you for the balance, and then just go get yourself in. Now once you're in, you're going to lift up the front side of the board and just pull your weight off it, like backwards behind you, like this. You don't have to ollie, just use your weight to shift yourself off. And in a perfect world, you'd end up with something like this. Okay, now we've got our super basics down for like the first time you've ever seen a ledge. We're going to practice doing a little bit of a grind on. I'm only going to give you 3 tricks for this one because it's quite an advanced obstacle to hit. You're going to want to have been training for a little while before you fully start trying to master the ledge. But just ride up exactly the same as we did, but this time we're going to ollie while moving and hopefully make it off the end of the ledge as well. So a little bit of speed and then ollie on and just lift the front wheels up to get off. Super simple 50-50 right there. Right, so the next basic trick we're gonna do on this is a 5-0. Basically you ollie and then you land in like a manual on the ledge. So a 5-0 is exactly that, manual on the ledge, and boom. Obviously you have to be locked into the corner. You can't just land in the middle and call it a 5-0, that's just an ollie manual. But yeah, ollie, lock yourself in, come off the edge. That's gonna be the next basic trick. And then it should look something like this. Don't need to lift up, just make sure you don't lean too far back, otherwise you might come off the end a bit prematurely. Now the third and final basic trick for this one is literally just turn yourself onto it, get a board slide, and then come up and turn back to forward again. This one is way easier than the other two. I don't know why I didn't put it first, but still, super easy. You can pretty much do this with only the knowledge of the ollie. So start off by turning your bottom half, 90 degrees, shoulders, stay forward. As you get to the end of the ledge, bottom half brings you back to normal and you roll away. Just clip the very end of the ledge at first and you should get this. Super simple. Okay, now the rail is probably the most dangerous of all these obstacles, so you want to be extra careful with what's going on around it. If you see sticks, stones, do not even take the risk. Just sweep them up, make sure you've got a nice clean landing, a nice clean area to ride up next to it. And if you've got one that's flat on the ground, great, but if not, we're gonna have to tackle one that's going downwards or one that's going out of a ramp. Now the one that's going out of the ramp was the first one I learned. Is it the easiest? Probably not, but it's all we had when I was a kid. So I'm gonna teach you two basic tricks for this one. And the first one is a board slide. This works a lot better on a rail. Exactly the same concept as we just did for the ledge. You're gonna come up, shoulders stay facing forward, bottom half turns 90 degrees, and then off the edge. Simple, scary, but definitely doable for beginners. So depending on how long the rail is, it's gonna determine how much speed you need. This one is generally quite sticky because it's been raining a lot recently, so I'm gonna have to gauge the speed with the first one. Might not land it, but we should be fine. Okay, I barely even popped there. I sort of just floated out of the ramp, and that's because my tail is extremely razor tailed. But either way, no excuses, we still managed to get it done. Okay, next is probably the second easiest trick on a rail like this, outside of like a different variation of board slide, and that is a 50-50. A lot harder on a round rail, it's like a bar instead of a flat surface, but this one's quite good because you can ollie onto it, and the rail almost locks you in automatically, because the trucks aren't much wider than the rail, and you can just ride it off the end, and lift up like that. Okay, and it should look just like this. Honestly, it's super scary at first. The best thing you can do is put some headphones in so you don't think about the fears. When I'm trying to do this without headphones in, like just now, my God, it's a mental battle, even for just a 50-50. Just because I've broken so many bones on rails compared to everywhere else. But yeah, that's your rail. Now, the final thing we're gonna go over is the stairs. All right, so now we're at the stairs, probably the second riskiest part of the skate park, but tricks from the flat ground generally seem to translate the same to a stair set. Now this is a nice beginner one, little free stair. The stairs are quite long, so there's probably about 3 stairs worth of stair in each one. So I'd say this is more like a 5 set when it comes to length, but it's still super low. So practice on something that doesn't have much impact at first. Some stairs are more distance, some are more height. This is definitely a more distance one right here. But essentially tricks from the flat ground will translate over, and there's a few different ways you can skate it. You could just ride down it and firecracker it. Now it's hard to firecracker a stair set where the stairs are like 3 feet apart, but you can just ride down it if you just keep your knees bent and your body low. You can get away with it nicely. But if you're a beginner and you haven't learned many tricks yet, I would recommend 2 tricks for the stair set to get you started. First one is a nice basic ollie. You're gonna need a little bit of speed, just make sure you commit, and also when you're about to pop, to keep yourself balanced in the air, have your hands, or your arms I should say, in front of you like this, and then when you pop, you'll take a nice spread eagle, keep yourself balanced, and then you'll land, boom, done. It's better than having your arms like this, because if your arms go behind you, you're gonna be way off balance in the air. So first things first, we'll go for a little ollie. You don't really need much speed at all, just pop a decent ollie, or you can go fast and pop a small ollie. Either way, it's up to you. Okay, so the next and final trick of this video is we're gonna do a boneless down it. Now this is great for people that don't fully want to commit to the ollies and stuff yet. Obviously, An ollie is most people's first trick down a stair set, but if you want to be more of a freestyle skateboarder, maybe throw some hands into there, a bonus is a great way to do it. We touched over a bonus in the flatland part of this video, but basically come to the edge, grab the board like this, and then we're going to jump the stair set on our feet. So let's try that next. So right up exactly the same, crouch your body down, grab the board, and send the stairs. Christ, that's a long stair set to boneless, I didn't even realise. I'd say anything bonus is better for stair sets to have height as opposed to length, because it's easier to withstand impact jumping onto the board than it is to launch yourself off like that, you know what I mean? Okay, and it should look just like this. See what I mean? You have to fucking leap to get off that. All right, and after a few bails, you should eventually get one like this. Just like that. And that pretty much covers the whole skate park that we've got here. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next video.